Alright, pilots, we're back in the A-10 and it's graduation day. We've gone through our beginner's guides on how to bind everything up, how to get up in the air, how to fly around and land, how to deploy our weapons. Now it's time to put it all to use. So in this video we have a mission. From our base we're to head northeast up the ravine and seek out an enemy fob that they're trying to set up. We're to strike it, try to hinder their ability to use it as a forward operating base, and knock out as much infrastructure as we can, and then get on home and report back what we've seen. So, let's jump into the cockpit and let's arm up. So we don't know what we're going to run into. We just know it is a forward operating base that they're setting up. That's all we know. We know it's to the northeast of our position up the ravine. We do not have any satellite imagery or anything like that. So we're basically going to scout it and strike it, basically a first strike, to see if we can damage it as much as we can, and also to knock out any infrastructure. So, you know, ammo depots, fuel, communications, anything like that. Any observation posts, tents. Knock it all down as best we can. So we're going to grab some high explosive rockets. We are also going to bring some Mavericks, because that is our best weapon for knocking down. And because if we fly up there and we see some heavy armored tanks, we're going to need something that can punch through it. Also, if we see some kind of a large structure, this is a good way to punch through them as well as with a Maverick. We're also going to grab some 97s. So some cluster munitions, some highly penetrating skeet cluster bombs. And let's also grab 2 Mark 84s. So this is a very general purpose loadout. We've got 2 heaters in case there was reports that they're setting up a fob, so there's a good chance they're going to have at least helicopter support. So we're going to take some heaters. We're going to take a ECM pod, in case they have any kind of radar guidance or man pads on the ground. Whenever there's troops on the ground, you got to just assume there's going to be a man pad in there. We're going to grab our high explosive rockets. We can use those to try to eliminate low armor or no armor targets like tents, infantrymen, stuff like that. Our Mavericks for general purpose and any armor. The clusters to try to saturate the area and clean out as much as we can. And 2 very large 2,000-pound Mark 84 bombs to take out any large infrastructure, buildings, combine, whatever they've got. Well, we won't know until we get up there and take a look.
Request rearming.
Alright, let's get armored up.
Copy.
And we're just going to do a straight cut. We're going to film this all the way through, from loading up, taking off, striking the target, and hopefully not dying and making it back and landing for a complete mission. Now if I die on this mission, that's it. We're cutting the video there, because I didn't make it, and that's the way it goes. Alright, you can see our armaments coming on there. We got our Mavericks, there's the rocket tubes, there's the pod, so all we need now is our heaters and we're good to go. Alright. So, we've got our keybinds, we're good to go, so we're going to power up. I like to cycle my colors over to this golden orange here. It's the most visible in my opinion. Alright, bringing the canopy down and starting the engines. And like I said, we're going in blind. We do not have any AWACS support. We don't have anything that's going to populate a map for us. We just know about where they're going to be up the hill. Which is why we're taking a general purpose loadout. Which, even if we knew it was there, general purpose loadout's pretty good for just about everything. That's why it's general purpose. But if we knew exactly what we were dealing with and it's very specific targets that we wanted to take out, then we could equip our loadout specifically for that. But we're just gonna get up there and get it done today. Basically a blind mission, as if we had limited intel, but we know we have to first strike it before they're able to build up to strike back at us. Most of the time, though, you'd have better intel. Alright, let's check our engines here. See, our first engine is almost all the way up. As soon as that's done, the APU should switch over and number 2 should start getting pressure. Go ahead and come on over here and let's set our flaps to half, so we're ready for takeoff. Let's come down here and let's set our release mode to singles, and let's set our quantity. We'll rotate it all the way up to 12 and then one more so it goes back to 1. So now we're set up as singles. So every time we depress the pickle button, 1 munition is going to drop. So we've got 2 CBU 97s, we're going to do those one at a time, and we got 2 Mark 84s, we're going to do those one at a time. And that's just so we don't waste any bombs. That'll give us 2 large Mark 84s to put on targets. If we wanted to drop the CBU 97s as a pair, or the bombs or something, we can just come down here and just switch it up to pairs really quick. That's all we'd have to do. But let's go to singles. I usually do singles because if I want to drop 2 bombs at the same time, I'll just pickle it twice really quick. Alright, engines sound like they're up. We're good to go. Double check around, make sure nothing's in our way, make sure our flaps are at half, and here we go. Let's taxi over to the runway.
Enfield 1, clear to taxi to runway 29.
And we are in the Syria map today for this final. We've done all of our other videos learning how to use the A-10 on the Caucasus map, so I figured we'd break it up and we'd go out here to Syria. It's such a beautiful map, we should utilize it. Alright, we're just going to get lined up here.
Enfield 1, unable to clear for takeoff.
Alright, well, we'll get stopped.
Enfield
There we go, we're clear to go.
for takeoff when ready. Climb 300.
We're going to give it a little bit of gas here, get it up to 80%. Everything looks good. All the pressures are good. Alright, we're good to go. Slam her home, let the brakes off. Now we're just going to utilize our rudder pedals to stay nice and straight on the runway as best we can. And about 150 knots we'll start generating some lift. There we go. A little bit of back pressure on the stick and we're in the air. Bring the gear up immediately. You don't want to damage or overspeed your gear. We'll leave the flaps to half until we get up probably about 180, 190 knots. There we go. Flaps are coming up. And there we go. We're in business. So we already know that we want to come down the coastline, so we're going to head east up the coastline, and we're going to look up these ravines here and see if we can find any enemies in these ravines. We want to get a good spot on an enemy from a distance so we don't fly right into the enemy and get blown up right away. When you don't know exactly where the enemy is at, always err on the side of caution. Now, we're going to arm the ECM. We see it blinking, and we're going to arm the autopilot in case we need to use that. And let's keep an eye for enemies. So here's a big ravine right here. I don't see anything jumping out at me. Yeah, that looks pretty clean. Move on to the next ravine. Yep, that looks pretty clean. I don't see anything. Alright, what about this ravine? That one's looking pretty clean as well. Although I think that's the same one. Alright, let's get my trim fixed up here so we stop rolling. So going downfall about having that ECM pod on the wing is it out of balances your plane a little bit. So once you take off, it's always good to make sure you check your trim once you're up to speed, which we're a little slow right now because we're still ascending. Alright, I see a tower right there. You see it? There's a tower right there. So that might be an enemy communications array. That definitely looks like something. Let's go ahead and slowly come around, gaining altitude. That's definitely something. Now it's real tempting to just roll in and go, face down and just charge them, but that's really not the smart thing to do at all. It's like I said, we don't know exactly what we're dealing with, so we want to get a good look and get as much situational awareness about everything that we possibly can before we get in there. That is definitely enemy activity there. I can see some tents. I see a big comms tower, and I see some kind of structures, but we're a little too far away for me to really make it out. So now we're scanning the roads, making sure I'm not missing anything. Just because you see enemies right there doesn't mean they're not anywhere else in the area. Alright, we should check underneath us to the right. Oh, what's that right there? Oh, that's a bush. Good. I'd rather it be a bush than a guy with a missile launcher on his shoulder, right? Okay, now we're getting a better look at it. Okay, that's definitely the fob. So in reality, this is where we would call back to our JTAC and let them know that we do have a visual on the enemy position. And then we wait for further tasking. But we're not going to do that here in DCS. We're just going to assume our task is what it already is. To attack it as best we can and make it home with as much intelligence as we can and do as much destruction as we can on the enemy infrastructure. Alright, I don't see any patrols or anything. Well, now there's something right here too. Can't really make it out, but it's something. Alright, so boy, my head tracking's a little messed up. We're just going to have to deal with it. I think I've got the wrong profile loaded up in my IR. I'm barely moving my head and it's making me go way backwards for some reason. Alright, so there it is. We made a good pass. We can see some definite infrastructure. There was a very large tower, so that's probably some kind of communications tower. So that's definitely a target that we want to knock down to make sure they can't use it. So now that we know where it is and we see some of the major structures, now what we're going to do is we're going to get some distance and we're going to use our Maverick as a targeting pod. We're going to get a good distance away towards the ocean. We're going to turn back in, and we're going to see what we can see using our Maverick Seeker head. And all the while, we're kind of keeping our eye out to make sure there's no patrols. Want to make sure there's no Shilkas or Tunguskas hidden in the trees around here. We don't want to fly at that base and all of a sudden have a bunch of AAA fire coming right up under us. Always assume that that's going to happen. Always assume there's a trap. The road appears to be pretty clear. I don't see anything besides trees. You can usually see something if it's it's broken up, because the trees will be broken up against the road, so you'll know something else is there. Checking on ridges, stuff where you would expect them to have maybe a shore rad or a AAA gun placed in there. Alright, we've got plenty of altitude. We're up at 10,000 feet. We can level off now and start gaining a little bit of speed. See, that's the next ravine over. I don't really see anything inside that ravine. That might be something right there, huh? That little village right there, that little town. There might be something in there that we can't see with the naked eye. We'll take a look with the Maverick when we get turned back around. Alright, so we're going to fence in now air to ground. So we hit our air to ground mode button. Brings up our rockets. We'll switch weapons and go to our D Mavericks. So we brought the D model Mavericks, which are the infrared. Make a nice, smooth, coordinated turn to get back over, nose onto the ravine, and then we're going to start using our Maverick Seeker head to get a good look at everything that's going on. We'll turn on our autopilot. Alright.
Shoot.
There's a tank.
Shoot.
There's a tank right there. There's a AAA gun right there, which is what we have locked up. 5 miles. Rifle.
Shoot. Shoot.
There's the tank. Let's see what else we got in here.
Shoot. Shoot.
Oh, that's too big of a building right there.
Shoot. Shoot.
Let's go ahead and hit it with a Maverick anyway. Okay. Coming off left. There we go. Insurgent destroyed. Ooh, got some infantry with one of those explosions. So we got a AAA gun, and I couldn't see what else we got because a bunch of stuff died all at the same time. Let's go ahead and pull away. I do see some damage in there. So we got 3 Mavericks left. Let's come back around. And we don't want to spend too much time on station, because now that they know we're here and we've attacked them, they're going to be looking for us. Now we did take out that bunker that had that big AAA gun in the front there, so that's good. But we don't know exactly what all's there. That big ass comm tower building has taken a lot of the view up. Let's just come back around. I did see another tank or something that looked like a tank near that first tank and AAA gun that we shot. We're going to go idle here and slow down a little bit. I want to get a good look.
Shoot. 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 Shoot.
That's definitely a tank, but I can't get a lock on it from this angle.
Shoot. Shoot.
Alright, we're going to come at it from the other side. That was a good hit, but it wasn't meaty enough. Alright, let's get a good look now. Oh, that's definitely a tank. Oh, I see some tanks in the middle there too. See that near around that comm tower? There's some more armor there. There's a helipad. There's a helipad with no helicopter on it, so that's kind of a worry. So now we know that they either have a helicopter somewhere in transit, probably with supplies coming back. That's how they're moving troops into that fob, right? They're bringing stuff in through helicopter, possibly trucks. Or that helicopter is in the air somewhere and I don't know where it is, and we got to be very careful about that. Helicopters can be really hard to see, and they can kill you just as fast as anything else. Alright, let's come back around and see if we can get these next two Maverick shots in on these tanks. Again, a little bit of altitude, come back around. Do a little yo-yo here. Alright, cut into idle.
Shoot.
Got it, that's
Shoot.
the tank. Fire. Okay. Now, there was some more tanks right up here somewhere. Right there.
Shoot.
Got it.
Shoot.
Fire. So, rifle, there's the last Maverick away. Boom, it was a T-72 tank. That's a big tank. What was the other one? A whole bunch of infantry. We got the tank too. There it is. It's on fire. Alright. We're doing good so far. So, now we need to try to thin out some numbers down there. So let's put our CBU 97s. We're going to drop them into the middle of that base. We're just going to drop both of them in there. Alright, so rockets, there's CBU 97s, and let's prep our Pipper to make a mark. And let's get some distance. We're doing good so far. Trying to keep an eye out in the hills for a helicopter that we don't know where the hell it is. There's a good chance that it's not anywhere near. I mean, it might be flying back through the mountains to wherever their main base is. But if you see a helipad and there's nothing on it, right, you got to assume that helicopter is up in the air and it's hunting you down. Oh, did I lose my base? There it is. Alright, let's get that marker. We want to get it right in. That's a little too deep. There we go. Alright, let's turn on. Now we're just going to pickle both of these CBUs off. Oh, here we go. As soon as one goes, the other one's going to go because I'm going to pickle it by hand.
Shoot. Shoot.
Two CBU 97s are away.
Shoot.
Now that we're right over the head, I'm checking this road that leads away from that base to see if I can see any vehicles, trucks, tanks, guns, nuclear weapons, anything we can see. We want to, if you got a chance to get a good look, always keep looking. You're always scanning, you're always looking around. And the CBUs are going to be kicking off here real soon. Oh, there we go. See, look at that. Look at the damage. We got some fires starting there in the base. Perfect. Good stuff. Lots of destruction. Alright, so that's going to thin a lot of those numbers out. So now what we can do is we're going to do a CCIP drops. Oops. CCIP drops with the Mark 84s. We're going to get one of those Mark 84s on that big comm tower there. And then there's other buildings there, so when we get a better look at those buildings, we'll know what we're going to drop the other Mark 84 onto. But one of them is definitely going on that comm tower, right? Knock out their communication. Oh, maybe put it on the helipad, possibly. Alright, let's roll in. Alright, we're going idle. Slowly working the nose down. Mark 84. Pickle.
Shoot.
And pickle.
Shoot. Shoot.
Kaboom. Nice hits. Nice hits. Comm tower is down. Lots of destruction down there. I do see some more tents there on the back side. We have rockets left, and we've got our GAU-8 Avenger, so you don't get paid to bring any guns and ammo back home. So now that we've cleared out a lot of that stuff and we've done so much damage from outside of their weapons envelope, now let's roll in and get the rockets on them and get some gun on them. Now that we can get closer safely, more safely. We still might get shot, but after dropping those 97s and then those giant Mark 84s, hopefully that place is fairly sanitized. So let's get our rockets right across these tents right here, whatever these buildings are in the back row.
Pull up, pull up. Altitude, altitude.
Alright, looks pretty good. So, let's get out of here. Now, I didn't see any other tanks or helicopters or boats.
Altitude, altitude.
Everything else looks pretty clean out here. So we must have got them nice and early. Good early strike. Which is what you want. Get in there, hit them hard, hit them fast before they mount any kind of counter-offensive on you. That helicopter must just be on a supply run heading back to their base, and that's why we didn't see it, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, helicopters can be real nasty, and they can be really hard to spot. But I don't see anything like that out here. Mainly when you're looking for a helicopter, you're not looking for the shape of a helicopter. What you're looking for is movement. So you try to keep your head really still and see if there's any movement coming across in the trees or up against the ground. It can be really hard to see things when you're looking down from up above them, down into the ground clutter, so you're looking for movement. But we didn't see any, so we are RTB. Let's call it in. Whoop.
Infield 1, inbound.
And there's our airfield right in front of us.
Fly heading 12848. QFE 29.83.
Okay. So 29 is that runway right below us. So what we're going to do is call in the tower.
Request landing.
And we're over the top of where we need to land at. We need to land right down there. Not the other side, but right below us. So we are going to kind of slide into the right base downwind here and come back around. So we threw her into idle because we're going to maintain airspeed because we're descending fairly quickly here. We're going to go ahead and pop the air brakes out. And here we are. We're already coming into short final. We'll bring our gear down once we get below, like, I usually bring the gear out at around 190 knots or so. Right now we're going very fast. So let's bring the gear out because that's going to slow us down too. Get our flaps coming down. Still haven't given it any gas. We're still just coasting. We're gliding her in idle. We might have to give her a little bit of gas at the end,
altitude.
but alright, let's go ahead and pop the flaps all the way down now. That's going to give us a little cushion. Now we're going to give it a little bit of gas. Alright, we're on speed. Whoa, what is that? That baby popped up really quick, didn't it? There we go. I don't know why it popped up like that. That was interesting. I didn't even pull back on the stick. That felt like a DCS thing. That was little eagle dynamics there. So it shouldn't have popped up like that. That was quizzical. Alright, so there you go, pilots. We just took all that knowledge we learned off of those videos. Now, we didn't get deep into the weeds into everything, but we gave everybody the basics on how to utilize those weapons, and then we just put it in the field, put it to use, and came out ahead. We didn't die. Matter of fact, we didn't even get shot. That was almost boring, right? But you know what? If you do everything right, boring is a good thing, because you're not dead. Because trust me, when you start flying in DCS, I will guarantee you one thing. Well, I can guarantee you a few things. You'll learn a lot, and you'll have a lot of fun. But I will guarantee you're going to die a lot. I don't mean a little. I mean a lot. I don't care how good you are. I'm a decent pilot. I've been flying most of my life. I die all the time. Because DCS is not easy. And the enemy AI, in a lot of cases, is way harder than a human being. Because a lot of times you can't spoof and trick the enemy AI near as easy as you can spoof or trick a person. So just remember, you're going to die a lot. Don't worry about it. Take it all in stride. Learn from it and keep going. And before you know it, you're going to be pulling off missions and not dying. Like in a whole night, no deaths at all. And you'll be like, whoa, I flew 5 sorties. I haven't died a single time. I'm still using the same plane. I just keep landing and rearming and refueling and going back out again. And that's where you're gonna get there. You just got to keep trying and keep loving it. You can always join my community. I stream almost every single night that I can, which is almost every night. I am disabled. My body's kind of messed up. Some nights it's a little too hard for me to stream because of pain or whatnot. But most of the time I stream all the time. Everyone is welcome to join the Discord until you're not. So don't do anything weird if you get in the Discord. But if you want to get in the Discord, just ask my chat or me when I'm streaming, and they'll give you a link to get into the Discord. And thanks for enjoying the YouTube channel and the YouTube videos. This was the beginner's guide for the A-10a model. We also have the beginner's guide for the Sukhoi 25T model, which everyone gets for free. I recommend learning how to use that jet because it's amazing, and you don't have to pay a dime to learn how to use it, and it's good at everything. You can use it for everything. The next jet, I will get started on those videos fairly soon. I'm not sure which one it's going to be yet, but it is going to be another Flaming Cliffs 3 aircraft. I'm going to get through all of those before I move on to more advanced stuff. Thank you. See you in the skies, pilots.